There are moments in history that don't just challenge what you think you know. They completely destroy it. Not myths, not legends, reality. And sometimes reality is far more brutal than anything Hollywood has ever shown. Wartime survival. November 4th, 1274. Tsushima Island. 80 samurai stand on a quiet beach and watch the horizon disappear. Not because of a storm, not because of darkness, but because of ships. Hundreds of them. An invasion force so massive, so overwhelming, that it turns an entire island into a warning to the rest of a nation. This wasn't a battle. It was a collision between two completely different worlds of warfare, one rooted in honor, tradition, and individual combat. The other built on strategy, coordination, and total domination. And what followed wasn't just defeat, it was annihilation. If you're into real history, the kind that doesn't get watered down, the kind your textbook skipped, then you're in the right place. Make sure you like the video, share it with someone who loves history as much as you do, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories like this. Because what happened on Tsushima Island is something every history enthusiast needs to understand. Now let's get into it. By 1274, the Mongol Empire wasn't just powerful, it was, honestly, unstoppable. Stretching across nearly a quarter of the Earth's land, it had already crushed kingdoms, empires and civilizations from Eastern Europe to the Middle East and right across Asia. This wasn't just an army. It was a machine of conquest, refined over decades. Under Kublai Khan, that machine turned toward Japan. Not because Japan attacked them, not because Japan posed a threat, but, well, because Japan refused to submit. Diplomats were sent, demands were made, Japan ignored them. To the Mongols, silence wasn't neutrality, it was defiance. And, defiance had consequences. Tsushima Island sat directly in the path of invasion, isolated, lightly defended, and frankly completely unprepared for what was coming. Around 5,000 people lived there, fishermen, farmers, families, its defenders. About 80 mounted samurai led by Sukekuni, a man in his late 60s who had spent his life protecting that island. They weren't facing a raid. They were facing 30,000 soldiers. What happened next wasn't just a battle, it was a shock. Samurai warfare was built on tradition. Warriors would announce themselves, challenge opponents, and fight in individual combat that emphasized skill, honor, and reputation. The Mongols ignored all of it. They landed in formations. They moved as units. They fought as one. No names, no duels, no honor rituals, just efficiency. When the samurai fired arrows, the Mongols raised shields, something unfamiliar to Japanese fighters at the time. When the Mongols responded, it wasn't with scattered shots, but with coordinated volleys that darkened the sky. And then came something even worse. Gunpowder weapons, explosive bombs that thundered across the battlefield. For the samurai, this wasn't just deadly, it was disorienting. Deafening blasts, blinding flashes, horses panicking, warriors cut down by weapons they didn't understand. Centuries of tradition collapsed in a matter of hours. Despite everything, Sukekuni didn't retreat. As night fell, he led what remained of his forces into a final charge. 80 samurai against tens of thousands. It wasn't strategy, it was defiance. Every single one of them died. The fighting didn't end with the samurai. For the next 3 days, Tsushima became a message. Villages were burned, civilians were hunted down, survivors were captured, brutalized, or killed. Some were used as warnings, displayed on ships as the Mongol fleet moved toward its next target. This wasn't just conquest, it was psychological warfare. The goal wasn't just to win, it was to make sure no one resisted again. Tsushima wasn't the end of the invasion. It was the beginning. The Mongols would continue toward mainland Japan, bringing the same tactics, the same brutality, and the same overwhelming force. But something had already changed. Japan had just witnessed a new kind of warfare, one that didn't follow its rules, didn't respect its traditions, and didn't play by its expectations. And that realization would shape everything that came next. The story of Tsushima isn't about heroism in the way most people expect. It's about reality. It's about what happens when belief systems collide with something they weren't built to handle. 80 samurai stood their ground against an empire. They didn't win, but they showed exactly what was at stake. If you found this story valuable, make sure to subscribe, share this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments. These are the stories that deserve to be remembered, and the ones that should never be forgotten.